Okay, so it looks like we should get started. So we have a good amount of people in here today. So good evening, good afternoon, good morning, some early morning to everyone here. My name is Gary. Been with eFuture for, actually, I won't give that answer yet. We'll have that question later. So I'm going to kind of be going over, especially in this time, how to adapt our lessons from, we're normally being in a classroom and how to adjust it into the online classroom. So I'm going to talk about how I kind of planned lessons, how I do lessons, and how I think about my lessons afterwards. So that will be, if you see on my screen here, in the class preparation. I'm going to focus on kind of those key points, as well as for those that are using Zoom, or if you're new to Zoom, kind of go over the basics, basic functions that I feel are the most important for your classroom to utilize and to kind of help you teach, okay? And then the big one here, online resources. So there's, a lot of things that we as teachers can use to help kind of make our lessons more attractive to our students and more fun for online classes, because it's a lot different. It's a lot different from being in class than looking at our students now from a screen or behind a screen. Just like right now, doing a webinar over the computer and in person is a lot to adjust. So just kind of go over those things today, all right? So let's get started here. So today, my main goal for today, like I talked about, is just to give you guys some ideas and tips on how to improve your online lessons and how to kind of think about and improve some lesson preparation, all right? Okay, so getting into the Zoom basics. So before I get into some of these basics here, I would like to ask the chat here. You can see on the bottom, towards the bottom of your chat window, there is a drop-down window that you can click on. So I'd like for everyone to switch their setting from just sending it to all panelists and attendees. Why I ask this is I'm going to ask a bit of discussion questions for everyone here, and I'd like for everyone to share with each other, because I can share all my experiences and how I think, but as teachers, we all have our own experiences as well, and I feel like we can all share them together. So if when we answer in the chat, everyone can see your answer and you can see everyone's answer as well. So just be sure to set that, and I see a lot of you have done that already. That's perfect, okay? So I want us to be able to share with each other as well, okay? Let's go. And if at any point I'm speaking too fast, please let me know. That's kind of my big thing, okay? So I'll do my best to be slow here, okay? All right, thank you everyone. So Zoom basics, the big one here, this will kind of change everything for your classroom, is the screen share function, okay? Hopefully you guys already are utilizing this, but if you prepare these presentations like I have, if you use PowerPoint, you have a YouTube video that you want to share, or images, anything from your side for your class, you can share it through screen share on both Zoom and a lot of the other kind of programs that you can use for your class. So example here, like some of these images, apologize for the quality, it's kind of blurry, but showing your PowerPoint slides or showing your ebook for your textbook. So being able to present that to your students on their screen will make the lesson kind of a lot smoother and can really help present the resources and everything that you prepare, instead of holding up a book to your camera and have to go all the way to the front here so the students can see. If you're using how to screen share, then you can do that. How to do the screen share: when you start your meeting, you can see the on the bottom there, it's always a green button, and then a window will pop up. So then you'll get this window pop up here, and then you can kind of share which window you want to show your students. In regards to showing more than one page, if you're doing different websites like I'm going to do today, different websites, then you can kind of scroll through without having to share a new screen. Otherwise, you're going to have to kind of either, I guess the workaround for that would just be to share your whole screen rather than just a window. So there's a different way here, the option to select a window, or you can just share your screen. So like here, the first two. And then as you're scrolling through each page, it'll update to the students as well. Okay? Any questions about screen sharing? So I try to address some of the comments here. One page from the same group of texts. Yeah, so if you're, say you're going through a book, then you would need to share that window, and you can kind of scroll through the pages, and you wouldn't have to share a new window per page. Okay? All right. I will address that in a little bit, Angela. Okay? So that's screen share. And the next one is annotating. Okay, next one is annotating. So this would be good for marking the page on a book, some things that you want to highlight, anything that you want to bring the attention to your students. Even if you can also have your students use this function as well to kind of fill in some of the stuff, okay? So as you can see on this image here, there's an option to disable attendee annotation, but you can also leave that open, and then the students can write and all that, okay? So what this does is, let me kind of do an option here. It puts it all on the screen. So you can, like here's the draw function, you can kind of circle the draw function and kind of highlight, or if the students have done good work, you can give them stars, okay? Good job, okay? So there's a lot of things that you can do on here, and I'll show a little bit more examples of how to utilize this function later on in the presentation as well. Okay, so usually when you set this up, make sure that you clear it afterwards, because if I were to go to my next slide, everything I drew is going to stay there, okay? So be sure to clear it all and then close the annotation, and you can move on, all right? And I see everyone talking about the breakout rooms. Don't worry, I'm going to discuss the breakout rooms as well, okay? So where you will find the breakout rooms, so the good thing about this, if you want to use breakout rooms or want to do group work in an online setting, this would be a good way to do it. And you can go as a teacher, go into each of the rooms and monitor your students and what they're working on, okay? Just like you would in class. Like if you would walk around the class, you can jump from different break rooms, okay? And where to find it? So a lot of people don't know that you might have to actually activate it. So if you do go into a meeting and you don't see it on your toolbar, you have to go into your settings, okay? So how you would find it is you go into your settings, look at the in meeting and advanced functions, and then you'll see the breakout room, okay? And then just toggle that on. So yeah, breakout rooms are free, like Paulo's mentioned. So you can, the host can assign. So I believe when you're scheduling, you can set it up. So haven't really done so far, but there is going to be like a little kind of screen where you can place people into the respective breakout rooms, okay? So this would be the good, group work, pair work, all those kinds of things. This is how I would utilize doing that, okay? Is everyone good? Good on the break rooms? So these are kind of the main Zoom functions that I feel like are very important for teachers. Are there different kinds of Zoom? There's different, I guess, levels of accounts, which will allow for more access, more participants. But mostly what I'm talking about here is the basic ones, okay? And breakout rooms are free. They are free, okay? So those are the Zoom basics, okay? So now we know what functions we can use, and now we can kind of think about our class preparation. So some of these things, I'm just going to talk about the way that I would plan for an in-class as opposed to an online class. And there's actually going to be a bit of overlap, and it's just the way we think about approaching the lesson that kind of changes that, okay? So here's the class preparation. So first, go into the lesson planning, okay? So like I mentioned, a lot of these tips and strategies can be used in the classroom, but how do we adapt it? How do we think about it towards the online classroom, okay? So let's take a look first. So first, the lesson plan. So we have the lesson plan here. For those that were in Aaron's webinar last week, might look a little similar to what he presented to you guys. So these are the kind of steps that we take in a lesson plan, right? So we do a warm-up, we kind of tap into background knowledge, provide input, check their comprehension, output time, feedback, game, activity review, and then reflecting on class. So these are kind of, I won't go too deep in this. So this is kind of how we're basically going to run the class. You can, this is how we do it in the classroom and then kind of adjust it into online, okay? So just from here, so while we're lesson planning, as a teacher, these are the kinds of things we need to think about, okay? And we need to think about as we prepare activities, as we prepare what to present. So we remember that we know our students the best, okay? So we know their English levels. Maybe at the beginning of the year, we'll kind of develop that knowledge of what their English levels are. We get to know their behaviors, and then hopefully getting to know their interests as well. Because knowing their interests, especially in an online setting, can help bring that engagement into the online classroom, okay? So we also need to anticipate the problems that come during the lesson, and of course, always set objectives for your lesson. So again, these are things that we think about usually in an offline classroom, but then we can bring it in to an online, okay? And I'll go a little bit more into each of these points. And then preparing, knowing what we have available to us, okay? So working smarter, not harder, yeah? So there's so many resources, some that I'm going to present to you today. Hopefully you can use them in your classroom, and it'll make your job as a teacher in planning and preparing easier, okay? So just knowing what you have available to you. So recently I had a seminar and I talked to a teacher who didn't know that our books have ebooks. All this time he was taking pictures of the pages inside of his book and then putting them in his PowerPoint, and that's how he was presenting the book. So just knowing that you have these other resources to make your classes easier, okay? And then things we need to remember. So I'm going to go into more about those obstacles and remembering that we have time management. We have to manage our time, especially if we're using Zoom. Zoom mostly has a 40 to 45 minutes, depending on how new your account is. I've had experiences where they take out that time limit for you and you can go for longer. I had a kind of Zoom meeting catching up with some friends, and we ended up going for maybe an hour and a half, so like kind of doubled the time limit. But the basic account is mostly 40 to 45 minutes. So knowing that, just like 40 minutes for a normal class, at least in Korea, normal English class was 40 minutes. How long or what am I going to do with these 40 minutes? Okay? So how am I going to allocate my time? Am I going to give, roughly a warm-up review game should roughly be about 3 to 5 minutes. Going up to 10 minutes is kind of pushing it, so you'd want to, 3 to 5 minutes, that's what I'm going to focus on for that. Then the presentation, give like 10 minutes. Okay? Practice, another 10 minutes. Then game, 10 minutes, wrap up, 5 minutes. Okay? That's kind of just an example, but, you can, allocate your time depending on your students, okay? And also be flexible. Remember to be flexible. Students, depending on their levels, might need extra time for the practice. they need extra time to, to explain or present to them, or if you want to give more time for games, kind of just be flexible depending on the class, okay? Always think ahead. So when you're planning, so we're still talking about lesson planning here. If you are planning to do an activity for the first time, say, you need to think about how long is it going to take for the students to understand the instructions. Okay? So remember, you only have 40 minutes on Zoom. If it takes 10 minutes to explain the exercise or the game, that takes away 10 minutes from actually doing it. So you need to kind of think ahead, and I'm going to go more into the obstacles going ahead. And then also break times. Okay? Staring at a screen for 40 minutes for, students, especially young learners, their attention spans are very short. So maybe you can take little breaks or do something to kind of give them a break somehow. Showing up a video, listening to a song or something that you can kind of break it up a bit. Okay. And next, so now thinking ahead for possible obstacles. Okay. So this is kind of where, like I'm talking about thinking ahead. So these are some more things that you need to think about as a teacher going into your class. Okay? So like I talked about, the students' behaviors. Okay? When you utilize the breakout rooms, maybe you won't put students A and B together. Okay? You won't put students A and B together because they always talk and they don't do their work if they're sitting next to each other or talking to each other. Or if you want to separate by English levels. Okay? So these are different ways that you can think about the students, how well they work for that or work together. Okay? So just thinking about their behaviors, and then talking about time management again. Take into account instructions, take into account the levels and the amount of time that it's going to take to do these things. All right? All right. Everything okay? Check in chat. You guys are kind of discussing about Zoom a bit. Is everything okay so far? Anything I should elaborate more on, or just let me know and I can take the time for you guys. Hopefully I'm not speaking too fast. I'm going to try to slow it down again. This is kind of my speed check for myself at this point. Okay? All right. And then the last thing here, the most important thing for online classrooms is remembering the technical difficulties. So I'm doing some online classes as well. When I first did a level test for my online students, they didn't know how to screen share. So a lot of my time had to go into trying to communicate how to screen share with them. So yeah, telling them if they can see the green button, can they see the taskbar for Zoom? And if they said no, then I would have to kind of troubleshoot even more. A lot of times I had to ask another student to help them. So just realizing the amount of time that it's going to take in your class. Okay? These are the kind of obstacles that you have to take, right? Or have to overcome. Especially with all this technology that we're going to be using, we have to make sure that they're educated on that as well. And whether or not you want to use one class as like an orientation to get them involved, but yeah. Can I stop writing? Okay. Okay. Is there another sound that you can hear, Maria, or are you talking to the chat? Okay. All right. So now going into during the lesson. Okay. So what kind of procedures, what kind of things am I going to do during the lesson? All right. So just going back a bit. So kind of thinking more on the lines of the 3 Ps. So present, practice, produce. So how can we kind of do these online, and what kind of ways that I use online as well? So with presenting, again, thinking about that the students are staring at a screen. They're staring at a screen for 40 to 1 hour to a long time. And their attention spans are kind of low at certain ages. Okay? So we want to engage them in the screen somehow. So I always try to make the screen worth looking at. Okay? A lot of times we don't know what's happening in the environment around them. So they could be looking off somewhere here. Like usually if you have you should be having their video obviously activated so you can see what they're doing. Like you can tell, what's going on. Angelo, I'll get into the warm-up in a little bit when I get into some resources. So sit tight a little bit, okay? So for vocabulary, so a lot of times for vocabulary, we can just show the word, have them listen and repeat again. But just, utilizing images. For this program I'm using now, usually I would be using GIFs, so animated pictures, something that's moving, it brings the students into the screen. So if I have this vocabulary word here, can you tell me what is this vocabulary word, you think, for this image? And then you can have the students guess. The students have to start thinking for themselves. Bored. Good. It could be one. He's reading. Okay. Ready? Reading, studying. Reading. Okay. So you can have the students guess. Studious. Oh, some strong vocabulary words here. This is another way to tap into their background knowledge a little bit as well. What kind of words do they already know? Okay. So studying, reading, facial expression. Yes. So this one here, basic read. So then you can present the word to them after they kind of brainstorm and think out loud in the class. Okay. So I very much recommend using animated pictures. It'll really get the students' attention. So usually this picture here would be animated. So SpongeBob would be kind of going through his book. Tired of reading so much. Yeah, maybe the students don't like the word read, but we need to fix that. Okay. And then if you can do the same thing for presenting the expressions. Okay. So we have here, what are they doing? So we're asking the question, what are they doing? So in this picture here, what are they doing? Playing baseball. Okay, so be sure. So we're asking the question. So saying playing baseball is okay, but you want them to use the target sentence. So what are they doing? They're playing baseball. Okay. They're playing baseball. So you can use the animations for texts, allow the students to predict or brainstorm the sentence, vocabulary, or any other thing that you're presenting to the students. Okay. So that's kind of how I would present to my classroom. So what are some ways that you guys present to your class? Do you mostly do the pictures and sentences, or do you use any other resources that you create? Or what kind of things do you use? Presenting a video is a good one. Pictures, yeah, pictures I think are the big one to use. Using songs, I use a lot of songs. Realia, good. Glad to see that. Surprising, also play Simon Says. Simon Says is a good listening game. I used to use that activity for when they would learn directions. So turning right, turning left. Videos. So we're going to do, use a lot of videos and pictures. Asking, okay. Quiz games. Good. Look and guess. So a lot of those are good for presenting. Okay. So then after that, so then we get into output time, okay? So this is the practice and production. What can we do? We can still do some of the same things that we're doing in class, but again, we're adapting it online. Okay? So like worksheets. You think, how can we do worksheets in an online classroom? If the students have their notebooks, again, with screen share, we can do the worksheet together. So example here, so here's a worksheet, words and grammar worksheet. So you can present this to your class. Okay? You can show this. And then the students in their notebook can go through each one. They can practice the writing, practicing the writing. In the look and circle, I'd probably have them write down the sentence, the full sentence for them. And then when you finish, you go into the annotate function. So then here, number 2, what is this? So number 2, it's a what? Can you tell me, chat? What is this picture? Let me zoom in a bit. It's a shirt, okay? It's a shirt. So then you can go in and you can circle. You can circle it for them, okay? And then if for the look and write, we also have the option of using text, okay? So this question here, what's that? So what's number 1 here? What's that? It's a what? It's a skirt. So then you can write that in, and then it's in the blank there, okay? So you can go over the answers with your students, just show them the worksheet. So you can still do worksheets online, it's just adapting it in different ways, okay? So you can do this that way. So the writing function comes from Zoom, okay? So you can just kind of screen cap the image of a worksheet and put it into PowerPoint, and then you can put it on there. So what I did was I had a PDF of this worksheet, and so this is Prezi. So on Prezi, I could insert a PDF, and then I could put the worksheet on my presentation. So I believe you can do that on PowerPoint as well, or even just having it open in a PDF viewer, and then sharing that screen with your students. So you can still you can still use the annotation no matter what you're sharing with the students, okay? So this is kind of one way to do worksheets in an online classroom, all right? And then with some of the other activities I talked about, you can still do role plays, you can still do group work. Back. This goes back. Oh, hold on. It's the after the class. So some of these things here, you can still do book activities. If you have the ebook for the book that you're using, you can use the ebook to do the book activities, listen and repeats, listen and writes, you can do all that. And then the other resources, which I'll be getting into really shortly, okay? So it's the worksheet, okay? And then after class. So now, what are we doing after the class? So we went through our online lesson, we planned it, we did it with our students, we tried to do the class. Now it's time to reflect, okay? Now it's time to reflect what we did. So these are the times where we think about how the class went, how was our time used, how did the students react to our activities, and just overall, how did we feel about our class? Okay? And I feel like it's very important that we should reflect on our class because it helps us become a better teacher. It helps us get to think more about what we can do for our students, okay? So how you can do this, keep a diary, keep a notebook. You can write down, okay, student A didn't work well with student B. So you can make a note in that. This is the activity they did. So when the next class comes, when you organize your breakout rooms, you separate them and do something new. Okay? So it's noting all of the things that happened during your lesson. And it's good if you're using Zoom or some other site, you have the recordings. you can go back and listen and watch what your students are doing and take notes on what you can do to improve and what you can do to engage the students more. Okay? So this was something that, when I first started teaching, the students aren't the only ones learning. The teachers, we as teachers are also learning. You can't expect to your first step into the classroom, you're not the perfect teacher. Okay? There's always going to be, whether small or big, things that you can improve on for your teaching. So just remember that the students aren't the only ones learning. Okay? We're also learning for ourselves. Okay? Important to identify opportunities, areas for opportunities. Absolutely correct. Okay? So there's a lot of things that we can do to improve. All right? Okay, so any questions so far? So now we're going to get into the resources. Okay, we're going to get in some resources. So I've kind of broken up the resources into kind of categories here. So we have, first I'll be going over games for young learners. I heard earlier people asking for quiz sites. I have some of those that I can share with you and hopefully demo with you. And then presentation alternatives, and then kind of what eFuture has for online resources, okay? So how many in here are teaching kind of elementary level students? So I tried to break it up. We had a lot of people that were teaching secondary as well. So I wanted to find some things that those that are teaching secondary or adults could also use, but are also applicable that we could use for young learners as well. Okay, so I'm using both. Okay, a lot of me's in here. Elementary, university, sometimes adults. Okay, so I tried to consciously find some resources for those teachers that are teaching adults as well that you can use. Okay, some you already know. Maybe hopefully one will be new for you. Okay, so let's go into games for young learners. So these are some websites. I won't demo these, but I do have some screenshots of their page and what they have to offer. So I did do this webinar before a few months ago, so if some of you were in that webinar, some of these might sound the same. So that's why I won't go too in depth, but first one here is called EduCandy. So EduCandy, what you can do, this is good for vocabulary. So they have different activities for vocabulary. So what you do, you go into the website and then kind of create a word list. So you can create a word list, and then it gives you the opportunities to use different activities for the word list. Okay? So these aren't the only four. They have some other ones. They have some matching. They have matching, what's the other one? Memory game. They have some of those. Sorry, I forgot to say this before I got into them. Most of these sites are free. I will verbally say if they are not free. So these are mostly free resources that I'm trying to present to you guys. Some that you can just go straight in, create an account, and use with your students right away, okay? So this is online. So these are all websites that we can use. So not much printouts, so these would be accessing on your browser and then screen sharing. Okay, so I'll go back really quick and show you again the site names. So these are the site names here. So EduCandy. Next one I'll be getting into is ESL Games Plus, and then Games to Learn English. These are all names of the site. So if you go into Google and search these, you'll be able to find them. Okay. So going into ESL Games Plus. So just going in. So again, these are just kind of more activity in games. I will say that this one right now uses Flash. And as most people know, at the end of this year, Flash won't be supported. So just for, I guess, for the near future, at least, this would be an option to use some games with your students as well. So kind of practice the sentences, grammar structures. You can break the students into groups. So there's group games that you can use, board games. There's a lot of different things that you can do. And especially with the screen share function, it allows us to share all of this with our students in the class, okay? So there's this one here, and then games to learn English. Trying to get my English in order here. So this is, again, some more practice. So you can see on the top, there's games, there's vocab, there's spelling, and they have kind of specific topics that you can practice, okay? So fast vocabs, jobs, practicing the grammar and all that, okay? So these are kind of some, for the young learners, something that we can use in the classroom with them, okay? So that is that one. So now some quiz websites and one LMS website. So some management systems, okay? So we're going to first, as a lot of people know about Kahoot. So I have my own Kahoot. Kahoot is a quiz website. I saw a lot of people mention Kahoot in the chat. For those that haven't used Kahoot, I created one that I would like to do with you guys, okay? So going into my Kahoot here, I'm going to host. So this is why I asked for those people that are on PC. So this might be a little bit difficult unless you have the Kahoot app to access this game. So on the basic account for Kahoot, we can only have up to 10. So you guys need to kind of be quick, all right? So the first 10 that get in are the ones that are going to play this quiz, all right? Everyone else can kind of watch, all right? So I'm going to host my Kahoot here. And then if you go to kahoot.it, you're going to enter this in. Let me lower the music here. So I'll give some time for people to come in. So go to www.kahoot.it, and then when it asks for a game pin, you can put this number on the screen. You guys can see the screen, right? Just to double check. Okay, we have some people coming in. We have the quick ones, the fast typers. So I'm gonna lock it at 10. We have one more spot. Going to get in. There's the 10 one, so I'm going to lock here. Oh, 11 got in. How many people can I actually do? Let's test this theory. Kahoot told me that I can only do 10, so let's see. Let's test their if they're going to give me some free thing here. So I'll stop it at 20. Okay, I'm going to lock it at 20 here. Okay, so I'm going to start. So the quiz I made is kind of random knowledge quiz. Okay, so I want to see how much random knowledge you guys know. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and start it here. So I'm going to kind of watch here. So here's the quiz. So the first question here, how many brains does an octopus have? Maybe 30 seconds. Hopefully the volume isn't too loud for you guys. Yeah, if you're not in the game, you can write your guess in the chat. Whoa, we got 9 people just here, only 3 correct. How many brains does an octopus have? It has 9. It has 9. Okay, so now let's go. Let's see who got those correct. Rosia, Naya, and Altif got the points here. So you get extra points for how quick you answer as well, I believe. Okay, so here's something new. I've taught you something new. Octopuses have 9 brains. Okay, let's go with the next question here. So there's 5. Where is the heart? This is the human heart. I really hope that no one picks here. This one's a little quicker. The left chest, we have 11 people, okay? Very good. No one said leg. I'm very happy no one said leg, okay? So here we have, oh, we have a new leader, Rocio. Okay, very good. Sandy's right behind you. So we have a couple more questions. So I've done 5. So here's a sports question. Don't mind my grammar, forgot to put a question mark. Which country has won the most soccer World Cups? Five seconds left. 14, Brazil is correct. 14. Let's see our leaderboard changes. Rocio holding on. Oh, we have some more people coming up. Okay. We have 2 more questions left. Hopefully these get harder. So for the Oscars, who won Best Picture this year? Little pop culture question. Well, this one's kind of gave a long time for this one. Should have lowered the time on this one. I see a lot of split between Joker and Parasite. Well, there was a lot of split in 8 and 8, but the answer is Parasite. Parasite won Best Picture this year. The Korean movie. Okay, Rocio, did you get? Rocio got it. She has almost a double percent, or double the next person. Okay, and last question. Maybe an easy one. Back to animals. What animal has the largest egg? An ostrich. Good. Most people got it correct. So an ostrich. Rocio, did Rocio win? Let's see. Oh, podium. In third, we have Pat, 4 out of 5. Pamela second. And it looks like Rocio is in first. Hey. Congratulations, Rocio. Be sure to contact Aaron Siegel for your prize. Okay? I'll be sure to put his email in the chat, so go ahead and contact him, and he has a very special prize for you, okay? That's just a joke. I'm sorry. It's just for fun, all right? Congratulations. All right. So that is Kahoot. So a lot of these questions, they have their own question bank. So a lot of these questions I just kind of typed in, and then you can do it that way. Let me see if I can go back. Just do this. Yes, okay. And then after you do the game, if you go back, oh, I can go back to here. I can check my reports. And then we can look at the results. So if you did an actual quiz, you can see the questions and then the players, all of that, okay? How long it took, who needs help, who didn't finish, okay? And all that. And I suppose the answer fast, okay? So that's Kahoot, all right? So that's Kahoot. Hopefully you guys can utilize that in your classroom if you aren't already, okay? And then the next one I have here is called Poll Everywhere. So it's a little similar. You can do a quiz, but they actually have more things, okay? They have more things that you can do with your students, all right? So I have 3 different ones. And this one here, it allows up to 25 participants in the kind of basic account. So hopefully it's around the same amount of students that you have, around 25. And so what I'm going to do here, so this first one here, so this kind of poll, so technically a poll. So I'm asking this question here, where was I born? Okay, where was I born? And in a second, hopefully, depending on our internet connection here at work, this image will load, I hope. Okay, there it is, okay. So I'm going to post a link in the chat. Okay, so hopefully don't go too crazy messaging right now. So I'm going to post a link in the chat, and you can put that into your browser. So I'm going to activate this, okay? So when you go into that link, you're going to guess. So click on the map. Click on the map, and it'll show your guess, essentially, of where you think I was born. And then I'll show you, I'll kind of mark where I was actually born. Oh, some people can't enter. So it's a lot of, oh, okay, we have some people. Okay, so you can see here's some responses. Yeah, so if I'm assuming if you can't get in, that there's already 25 in, okay? That's what I'm going to assume right now. So we have a lot of, ooh, some Greenland. Yeah, so like the basic version only allows 25. So the first 25 that got in kind of can go. Ooh, where is this? This is the, okay, could someone did it? Okay. Ooh, I think there's actually some people redoing it. Okay. Ooh, got some North America. Somewhere in the Middle East. I think this is Cuba. We have some from Cuba here. Couple Canada. I really love the Greenland. Actually, it would be very interesting to know why I was in Greenland. Okay. There's some from in Southeast Asia. Some quite close. Okay. Yeah. For those that aren't in, if you can guess, you can guess in the chat as well. I'll use my annotation function on Zoom again, and mark where I was actually born for those people. So I was born, I actually did see the answer to someone in chats. Paula, congratulations. I was born in the Philippines. I was born in the Philippines, okay? So this is kind of a way to, this is technically a poll, but you can also have a discussion in class like this, okay? So this is one of the functions using a map, okay? So let's get into some other ones. Okay, let me, from the Philippines too, mabuhay. So here, so this is the first one here. So I'm going to deactivate this, all right? And I'm going to go back to my polls. So now the next one here, so this one would be good for the higher level students when you want to brainstorm. You want to do, a word cloud with younger students. So I'm going to activate this. So going to the same link, okay, so I've activated a new poll. Write down some words that describe teaching, okay? So the link, I'll post it again. And then as the responses come in, okay, hi, hello, you'll see all of our responses start coming in on our screen here, okay? So sharing, love, learning, okay? Dedication, okay? So these are all the responses that all of you are putting in, okay? So you can do this with describing a word, you can put a question. So if you're doing, say, reading comprehension questions, or asking questions about a text, maybe not in a word cloud way, but you can do other, there's other kind of setups that would display the responses this way as well, okay? Assessments, commitment, respect, responsibility, okay? Love, initiative, okay? So this is one thing as well that you can use with your students. I thought this was really cool because it's real time and kind of puts the words in creative viewing as well. With the, I can show you with the configuring, so with the visual settings. So there are things that you can change it. So you can change it to a text wall, cluster or word cloud. So like I talked about the ways that you can present the words. So like here, if this is kind of like a comment section, essentially. You can show it that way, the way that they're coming in, or in a cluster, just show them all at once. Spotlights, yeah, you can just kind of show them each word one by one, go through. Yeah, there's a limit of answers. Yeah, like I talked about on the basic account, it said up to 25. So you can go, I think the next level up for the account is like $4 USD, and you can up the amount of participants that way as well. So you can change the color, like there are some limitations with how you can present it, with the colors and fonts. All of that, you have to kind of upgrade your account. But for the basic, this is something that you can do, okay? So I'm going to deactivate that and do one last. So I talked about the quiz. So this is an about me. Okay, so going into that link. Yeah, there's a limit, sorry, to 25, okay? So going into this one, it's kind of a similar one. This one's only 3 questions about me. See if you guys can guess about me. So again, speed counts. Okay. So we're getting ready. So the first question here, how many years have I been with eFuture? I'm gonna give 10 seconds here. How many years? Yeah, if you're not in, you can type in the chat. So the time's up. So we have 22 responses. So I'm saying 18% of you were correct. I've only been with eFuture actually for a little over a year. Okay. So then the next one, so leaderboard. Oh, the leaderboard I can bring up. Show who's at the top, who got them. Okay. And then the magic question. I won't be hurt. How old am I? Some are saying numbers that aren't an option. 40, Laura? Okay, the responses are up, 24 have gone in. Answer is 31, 31, okay. For those that said 19, love you, thank you. Anything younger than 31? You look younger, thank you. I've started to moisturize, actually, so thank you. Let's see our leaderboard here. Okay, so people at the top. And then the last one here. How many years have I lived in South Korea? Three seconds left. See a lot of 3 and 5s in chat. Someone said 10. There's no 10 option. Oh, a lot of people said 3, but 21%. I have been in Korea for 7 years now. It's been a long 7 years, actually short 7 years. 7 years has gone by quite quickly. Okay, so let's see who got all of the questions, most points. Guest 383, the person that declined to use their name, congratulations. So this is another way to do the activity here, okay? Actually I might go a little bit over time, but I have a few more things. So those are some of the quiz games that I wanted to show you. I have a bit more to go into. So that's actually not the end of it. I have another one here called Book Widget. This one is not free, but right now they have a 30-day trial, okay? And it has a lot of functions. Actually, I had it open to show you the functions more. So you can see you can create different widgets. So you have an exit slip. So if you say had a keyword or key sentence of the day, the students would have to answer that before leaving. So there's a lot of test and review widgets. There's games, memory games, pictures, YouTube. There's a lot of things that you can include in your classroom through this website. The basic version has some limitations, so I haven't really played around with it too much. But for those that can take the time in and kind of learn this system, this is something that is available out there. And I think if a school had a budget, it would be an interesting thing to look into. All right. So those are the kind of quiz sites that I had. Now moving on to very quickly through alternatives to PowerPoint. I've used Powtoon, or not, I haven't used it, but I played around with it. Powtoon is another kind of presentation program. I was having trouble actually showing the video earlier. It wouldn't load. But you can look into Powtoon. You can create slides, and then you can turn them into videos as well. So as you can see in the small thing here, you can kind of do the things. Okay. So the LMS system was Book Widget. Yeah, it might be a bit expensive, but there's a lot of kind of resources in there. Okay. So then we have Prezi. I'm using Prezi. So if you were interested in what program I was using Prezi. Okay. And then we have another one called Visme. This one might be a little bit more professional and kind of higher up, but it has a lot of kind of more visuals and more graphics that you can use with your students. Okay. All right. So other eFuture resources. Just answering your question really quick, Judith. It can be a little tricky to use Prezi if you're coming from PowerPoint. Making sure to use all the topics here and then kind of organizing it is can be a little overwhelming at the beginning. But once you get used to it, Prezi is quite simple as well. Okay. So using eFuture resources, if you're using our books, we have a lot of apps available on both the App Store and Google Play Store that you can find. A lot of the audios and videos and even some of the books you can see. Okay. With eSmart Class, okay, eSmart Class, again, if you're using our books, this is where you can get access to all the ebooks as well as more practice for your students, all right? It's very easy to sign up. It's kind of very simple to navigate. I personally did a video series on our YouTube, how to register and kind of going through each of the functions. So if you are interested in eSmart Class and want to learn how to use it, and you loved my voice, you can listen to me talk about eSmart Class on YouTube as well. Okay? So going through the last bit here. So we have, like I mentioned earlier, our YouTube channel. We have a lot of videos. We've been trying to upload a lot of resources for you guys in addition to our webinars. If you want to rewatch this webinar, it will be up on our YouTube channel within, I'd say, the next week, within the week. We have a lot of introductions to our series, model lessons, activity ideas. If you use our readers, we have our videos on there as well. So there's a lot of things that you can find on our YouTube channel. So just search for eFuture ELT and you'll be able to find our page. All right. And coming soon, very soon, we will have our Elibrary. So we'll be having a webinar later this month on readers. And just know that our Elibrary is coming up soon. So if you are interested in the Elibrary, be sure to contact your partner in the country that you are in, and they can give you more information on how to access this. I will be showing the contact information in a second. Okay, so that is the online resources, kind of a lot. I will be sharing this presentation with you so you can look back as well, so don't worry. And then now last for contacts. So for all of you that have joined today, we do have certificates available. We do ask that you contact your distribution partner in your country. So showing that here, actually let's make this bigger for you guys. So here's all the countries that we have distribution partners in. So be sure to contact these lovely people. They're going to help you and take care of you. If your country is not on this list, contact us. okay? Right here on the bottom, everywhere else, okay? So you can go ahead and contact us at this email, and we'll get you situated. Everyone else, kind of focus in and email these people here, right? I apologize, I fixed this spelling. People from Ecuador, I apologize. I did fix this spelling, but then it didn't save apparently. So I apologize for the misspelling there. And last few things here. We have more webinars coming up this week, or not this week, this month, okay? So be sure, if you don't already follow us on Facebook, we post all of our webinar schedules on Facebook. And I personally put in the reminders every start to the week for that week's webinar. So you can find them all there. I believe my colleagues have been posting those links in the chat. So be sure to come in. Next week we have phonics with Sue, and I'll be talking about smart phonics again next week, so I'll be here. Okay? And then we have again young learners and graded readers with our colleague Alana. Okay? So be sure to sign up for those. Before you guys go, we do have a survey that my colleagues will be putting in the chat. It would be very appreciative, and we would be very appreciative if you guys could fill out that survey. Let us know what we can do to improve, what kind of webinars you'd like in the future, and just overall, we want to get feedback from you guys on how our webinars are and what we can do. My email is there. You guys can email me with any questions. And yeah, thank you guys so much for your time. I'll be around for a little bit. And yep, I did not forget my link to the presentation. I'm putting it in right now. So here's the Prezi link. Hopefully it's sent somewhere. Did it send? Getting a little bit of a lag. There it is. I see it in the chat now. So that is the view link for my presentation. So if you guys wanted to go back and look at the resources and all that, please do that. Can I have my colleagues post the survey one more time? If you guys can please fill out that survey, let me know what I can do or what we can do in eFuture to kind of better our webinars and other ways that we can help you guys. We would love to hear it, and we'll be doing more webinars in the future, so be sure to look out for that. And again, thank you guys for your day, or for your day and your time and all that, and I hope that I was of help for you guys today. Also, another tip for when you're doing classes, drink water. You know, we speak a lot during class, so find some time to drink some water as well. The recording today, we won't have available. It will be uploaded on YouTube within the coming days. So be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel or keep looking on the lookout on our YouTube channel, and you'll be able to find them there. All right? So I'll stay around for a little bit, but thank you guys so much again. Good luck with your online classes. I hope all you and your students are safe during these times. And remember to always be understanding of each other, of your students. Okay? Thank you guys so much. I'll be logging off here. And I hope you have a good night's rest, all you teachers, or a good start to your day for the rest of the world here. And it's maybe 7 a.m. now in Armenia. So thank you for joining from Armenia as well and around the world. Okay? Have a good night, good afternoon, good morning. Thank you guys.